Good morning, yogis. My name is Daniel Schleig. I will be your instructor this morning. Thank you for joining me in this nice beach paradise. It's perfect weather out here. Found a nice shady spot, so won't really need some sunscreen. Hopefully you're ready to go. I'm ready to go. We're gonna have some fun today at the beach. So let's get this started. Go ahead and start cross-legged, crossing your legs at the shins, coming to a nice seat, rooting down your sit bones, raising up through the crown of your head. And today what we have is just a nice Vinyasa flow class. We're gonna move, we're gonna breathe, and we're gonna connect the two as we go. So I hope you're ready. We're gonna have some fun. Here we go. I'm gonna start some music just to add to the ambiance here. And just start with your palms on your knees and take an inhale and exhale. All right, let's wake up those arms. Let's inhale the arms up, chest up, look up. Exhale, hands down to the center of your chest. One more time. Inhale, arms up, chest up, look up. Exhale, hands down to the center of your chest. This time, arms up, chest up, look up. Exhale, turn to your right, drop both arms to the outside edge of that right leg. Inhale, both arms up, chest up, look up. Exhale, drop both arms down to the left side. Inhale, arms up, chest up, look up. Exhale, release down to the right. And inhale, arms up, chest up, look up. Exhale, down to the left. All right, we're going to add a side lean now. So inhale, arms up, chest up, look up. Exhale, drop the right arm down, extend the left arm up, create some length in that left side. And inhale, both arms up to center. Switch sides, drop the left arm down, inhale, arms up. And exhale, bring both arms up. One more time, each side, drop the right arm down, inhale as you lengthen. And exhale, bring both arms up. Drop that left arm down, extend that right arm up. And bring both arms up to touch. Exhale, drop both arms down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. All right, let's come on your back. So, on the back, start out by hugging your knees into your chest. Apanasana pose. Just while you're here, go ahead and rock left and right while you're holding the tops of your shins. If you can't hold the tops of your shins, you can always grab around your thighs as well. And we're just gently rocking left and right, just opening up that lower spine. Keep rocking one or two more times. And come back to center. Alright, in your neutral position now, we're going to add the legs and the arms. So, extend the left leg forward and the right arm back. And let's switch that up. So, right leg forward, left arm back. Switch it up. Right arm forward, left leg back. Left arm forward, right leg back. Keep going on your breath. Inhale to one side. Exhale, switching that up. Inhaling to one side. Exhale, switching it up. Keep going at your pace. That heel of those feet can come to the ground, or if you want, they can hover. Either way. Do what works for you. Do it one or two more times each side. And just hug both knees back into your chest. Take an inhale here. And exhale. Alright, this time when we do this, hi Cody. This time when we do this, try and bring some awareness to your lower back. You may have been arching that first time, that's fine, but let's try and bring some awareness and try and hug that navel in and down so that we decrease any arch we may have in our lower back here and just see how that feels. That's going to engage the abdominal muscles a little bit more this time. So hug those knees into your chest, hug that navel in and down towards the ground. Take an inhale and exhale. So let's extend that left leg forward, right arm back. Again, hug that navel in and down. And let's switch. And switch. We're doing opposite leg and opposite arm extend. Just going at your pace. Again, bringing some awareness to that navel, to that low back. Can you decrease that arch from what you had before? Keep going 2 more times each side on your breath. And when you finish those last 2, hug those knees back into your chest. Give them a nice squeeze. Okay, so now we're just gonna gently open up the hip joints of each leg. So to do that, let's extend our right leg forward, bring that right heel to the ground. Bring your right palm to the outside of your right hip. You're gently pressing that right hip down. Take your left palm, place it on top of that left knee, and just gently make some circles with that knee. It's almost like you're making circles on top of the ceiling. And see how far. If you're going too far up where that right hip wants to come up, just make your circles a little bit smaller. Let's switch directions. Again, you can gently press that hip down. Try and just hug your navel in and down towards the mat again. Let's do a couple more here. And come back to center. Hug both knees into your chest. Extend that left leg forward this time, left heel to the ground. Flex those left toes. Now your left palm comes to the outside, pressing that left hip down. Right palm comes to that right knee. And let's open that up a little bit as well. Keep rotating that right knee. Keeping that left hip grounded as you do this. Switch directions. We're just gently opening up that hip joint today. 1 or 2 more times. And come back to neutral position. Hug both knees into your chest. Take an inhale. And exhale. Alright, now place your feet on the ground. Now we're coming into our bridge pose, but it's going to be a more dynamic bridge pose, so we're not going to hold that long. So, with your feet on the ground, make sure they're hips width distance. And your heels should be directly underneath your knees. You can kind of feel that if you have your fingertips touch the backs of your feet. So press those feet down into the mat, press the hands down into your mat, press your shoulders down, lift your hips up, pelvis up, chest up into bridge pose, staying here just for a breath. And exhale, releasing from the top of the spine to the low spine. Now we're going to add the arms. We're going to go straight up with the arms this next time. So press those feet down into the mat. Inhale, lift the hips up, pelvis up, chest up, arms up, palms face each other. And exhale, release down to the mat, palms face down. We're going to do that again, but the arms can either come up just like they did before, or they're going to come all the way up and back. So here we go. Press the feet down into the mat, making sure they're still hips width distance, pressing the shoulders down, hugging the navel in and down. Take an inhale, lift the hips up, pelvis up, chest up, arms up and all the way back so that the palms face each other. And exhale, release round the back from the top to the lower spine. We're going to keep doing that dynamically. So go up to your capacity. Arms can either come up, palms face each other, or they can come all the way back. Exhaling back down. Inhaling, lifting into your bridge with your arm extensions. And exhaling, release. Keep going on your breath. Try and spin those inner thighs in and down to keep those knees hips width distance. Try not to let them flare out. And you're actively pressing those feet down into the mat when you go up and when you come down. It's going to give you some nice stability, allow you to engage the muscles in your legs to help you through these transitions. Let's just do it 2 more times. On your breath. One last time. And just release back down to the ground. Hug those knees back into your chest one last time. And exhale. Alright, we're coming up to a seated position again. So if you want to try rolling, you can. Holding the backs of your thighs. Rolling up and down. Your back. Or if you want to just shift your legs off to the side and come up, you can do that. Now from here, we're going to come into tabletop. So send your legs off behind you. Have your hands beneath your shoulders, and your knees are directly beneath your hips. So hands are shoulder width distance, knees are beneath the hips. Take an inhale here, and exhale. Now make sure your wrist creases are lined up with the short edge of your mat, or they might be slightly turned out. Fingers are slightly separated, pressing the base of each finger and each palm into the mat. Tops of the feet are to the ground. Those are hips width distance as well. If you take a peek back between your thighs, you really shouldn't see your feet. They should be hiding behind your thighs there. Now, we're looking for a nice long straight back, so hug that navel in and up just like we did on the ground. Starts to engage those abdominal muscles. Slight tuck of the chin. Gaze is maybe a foot or two out in front of those fingertips. Take an inhale here. And exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. Alright, let's add some cow-cats to this. So let's inhale as we drop our navel, send our heart forward, lift our head up. Exhale, reverse that as we round our back, separate our shoulder blades, let our head hang. Reversing that back into cow. Inhaling as we arch our back, sending the head up. Exhale, round the back, let the head drop. 2 more times on your breath. We're inhaling as we come into cow. We exhale as we come back into cat. Inhaling, arching the back, sending the heart forward, look up. Exhale, round the back, separate those shoulder blades. Okay, we're going to press ourselves back into Virasana. We're going to press our hips back towards our heels and sit up. If this is too uncomfortable for you to sit that way, you can always sit on blocks if you have blocks. You can place them in between your feet. Or if you want, just come back to a cross-legged seated position. We'll be here for a couple minutes. Now, we're just going to work on our wrists, just loosening them up a little bit. Now, start by gently clasping your fingers together and just rolling them in like a figure 8. Just going to gently release the wrists. We're going to be using them a lot in practice today, so we're just kind of getting them prepared, just checking in. Okay, let's switch directions in those rotations. Make sure you just have a loose grip, nothing too tight here. And just coming back to neutral position. Okay, now place your hands on the ground, but now your fingertips are going to face back away from you. So your palms are coming to the ground, and your wrists are facing forward, your fingers are facing away from you. And your wrist creases should be lined up with about the top edge of your knees. And from here, just gently rock forward and back. Maybe you lift your hips off your heels slightly. Try and keep the whole base of your palm on the ground while you do this. And if you need to, keep a micro bend in those elbows. Just do this a couple more times. And go ahead and sit your hips back towards your heels. Bring your hands back up. And we're coming back into tabletop. So, back into tabletop. Make sure your hands are shoulder width distance. Knees are hips width distance, tops of the feet to the ground. Start with a nice long spine. Gently hug the navel in and up. Take an inhale. And exhale. Okay, what we're going to do is some like half chaturangas in our cat-cows. So these are fun. I really like these. I'm going to show you first what these look like. So it's just a mini sequence. While starting the tabletop, you're going to inhale as you drop your navel, send your heart forward. This is our cow. Now as we exhale, we're going to shift our torso forward, bend our elbows lower halfway down. Keeping the back bend, we're going to press ourselves up, inhale, and then exhale, we're going to round our back, pressing ourselves back, hips to heels. And then we're going to reverse, and then we're going to do that again. So here we go. Now it's your turn. Starting in tabletop, we're going to do this a couple times. So here, inhale as we arch our back, send our heart forward into cow. Exhale, shift the torso forward, bend the elbows lower halfway, keep the back bend. Still keeping the back bend, press yourself back up into cow. And now round your back into cat as you press your hips toward your heels. Repeat that. Inhale as we arch our back into cow. Shift the torso forward, bend the elbows lower halfway. Keep the back bend. Inhale, lift back into cow. And exhale, round the back, press your hips back towards your heels. 2 more times. Inhale, forward into cow, arching the back. Exhale, bend the elbows, send the heart forward halfway. Keep the back bend, lift back up into cow. Exhale, round the back into cat. Let's do that one more time. Inhale as you arch the back, send the heart forward. Exhale, halfway down. Inhale, lift up into cow. And exhale, press your hips back into cat. And press yourself up into tabletop. Curl those back toes under. Lift the hips up and back. We're coming into our first downward facing dog here. You can walk your feet forward or back, whatever you need to. Go ahead and pedal out your feet too. This is our first downward facing dog, so we're still getting used to it. Just loosening up the backs of the legs. Pedaling out those legs, making sure those feet are still hips width distance. And just keep pedaling out for another breath or two here. And let's come back to stillness. And inhale, gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walker step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms out and up, chest up, look up. Exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. All right, let's work in some sun salutations here. So, making sure your feet are hips width distance, heels behind those center toes. Actively try and draw your tailbone down towards the mat. Try and lift your hip points up to your front bottom ribs. Arms are down to your sides, palms face forward. Take an inhale. And exhale. Try and draw your shoulder blades away from your ears. Inhale. And exhale. All right, here we go. Inhale, arms up, chest up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Place your palms to the ground. Step your right foot back, step your left foot back. We're here in plank. Stay in plank for a breath or two. If you ever need to, you can drop your knees to the ground. Either way, hug your navel in and up towards that low spine. Okay, now drop your knees to the mat. Bend the elbows back as you shift your torso forward, lower down all the way to the mat. Uncurl those back toes. Inhale as you lift your head up and your chest up into baby cobra. Draw the back to the shoulder blades together. Press those feet into the mat. Exhale, release that forehead to the mat. Curl those back toes under. Press yourself up into tabletop. Lift those hips up and back into downward facing dog again. Now in downward facing dog, we're here for 3 breaths, so just take your time. Inhaling and exhaling. Spin those inner thighs in and back, pressing the chest back towards the thighs. Take an inhale and exhale. Now inhale, gaze forward, bend the knees. Exhale, walker step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms out and up, chest up, look up. Exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. All right, let's do that again. Inhale, arms up, chest up, look up. Exhale, forward fold, knees can bend. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Place the palms to the mat. Step the right foot back, step the left foot back. We're in our plank pose here. We're staying for 3 breaths again. Hugging the navel in and up. You can always drop to your knees if you need to. Making sure your shoulders are directly over your wrists. Take one more inhale here. And exhale. Drop the knees to the mat. Shift the torso forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat again. Uncurl those back toes, press the hips and the legs into the ground. Inhale as you lift your head up and your chest up into baby cobra. Draw the backs of the shoulder blades together. Maybe lift your hands off the mat. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, release the hands back down. Release your forehead to the mat. Curl those back toes under. Press yourself up into tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog again. Again, we're here for 3 breaths. Making sure those arms are shoulder width distance. Hugging those triceps in and pressing the biceps out. Nice straight arms. Pressing the heels back towards the mat. Feet or hips width distance. Sending the chest back towards the thighs. Lifting those hips up. One more inhale. And exhale. Inhale, gaze comes forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walker step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms up, chest up, look up. Exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. All right, let's come to a wide-legged stance now. So you're going to face the long edge of your mat. And your feet are going to be about 1 leg's distance apart. Just to your capacity. Nothing too crazy here. You still want to make sure you're nice and stable while you're in this position. And we're going to come into our warrior 2 pose from here. So from here, we're going to start with the right leg. So we're going to externally rotate this entire right leg so that right foot faces forward. Internally rotate the back leg, that left leg. So the left toes come slightly forward. Now from here, square your chest to the side of the mat. Your shoulder blades to the side of the mat, that long edge of the mat. And then bend that right knee so that right knee is over that right ankle. You may need to wiggle your foot a little bit forward or back. Now take a peek at that right heel. Make sure you have heel to arch alignment. So if you were to draw a line from the center toes through the heel, it should intersect with the arch of that back foot. And once you have that, with your hands at your hips, extend now your arms out, fingertips extending away from each other. Now turn just your neck to look over those right fingertips. You're in your warrior 2 pose. Now let's make this a little more dynamic. So let's inhale as we straighten that right leg, bring both arms up, gaze comes to the side of your mat. Exhale as you bend that knee back into warrior 2, arms extend away. Inhale, straighten that legs, both arms come up, palms touch. Exhale, bend that knee. 2 more times. Inhale, arms up, straighten that front leg. Exhale, release that back down to warrior 2. 1 more time, straighten that front right leg. Both palms come up, gaze to the side. And exhale, back down into warrior 2. Let's reverse our warrior, drop that left arm down, raise that right arm up to the ceiling, create some nice length in that right side of the body. Take 1 more inhale here, and exhale. Release back down into warrior 2. 1 more inhale here, and exhale. All right, we're going to spin both our arms forward and down. We're going to drop them to either side of that right foot. Spin up on the back leg, that back left foot. Send that left foot to meet the right foot. You're in your plank pose. Drop your knees to the mat. Shift the torso forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. Press the legs into the mat. Inhale as you lift your head up and your chest up into baby cobra. Maybe you come up into full cobra by pressing your arms into the mat. Or you can even lift your legs off the ground and come up into upward facing dog. Stay for 1 more breath here. Exhale as you drop your knees. Release down gently all the way to the mat. Uncurl those back toes. Press yourself up into tabletop. And then lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Feet or hips width distance, arms or shoulder width distance. We're here for just 2 or 3 breaths. Keep lifting those forearms up and away, pressing the chest back towards the thighs. Spinning those inner thighs in and back, drawing those heels towards the mat. 1 more breath here. And exhale. Inhale, gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walker step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms out and up, chest up, look up. Exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. All right, we're going to do that little series on the other side, so we're going to come into Warrior 2 with our left leg forward this time. So, come into your wide-legged stance again. So again, feet are about one leg's distance apart. Making sure your feet are parallel to start with your heels behind those center toes. Now bring your hands to your hips. Externally rotate this entire left leg so those left toes face now to the front edge of your mat. And now internally rotate this back right leg so the right toes come a little bit farther forward. Square your shoulders to the long edge side of your mat. And then bend that left knee over that left ankle. Make sure if it's coming too far forward, you might need to wiggle that front left foot a little bit farther forward. Making sure that left knee draws to the outside edge of that left foot, to that pinky side edge. With your hands at your hips and your shoulders squared to the side, extend both arms out, palms down, fingertips away from each other. And turn just your neck to look over those left fingertips. Take an inhale here. And exhale. Alright, here we go. Let's straighten that front leg. Bring both arms up, palms touch. Gaze comes towards the long edge of your mat. And exhale, release back down into Warrior 2, bending that front leg. Inhale, straighten that front left leg. Palms touch. Exhale, back down into Warrior 2. 2 more times. Inhale, straighten that front leg. Palms touch. Exhale, back down into Warrior 2. 1 more time. Inhale, straightening that front leg, palms touch. Exhaling back down into Warrior 2. Now let's reverse this. Let's drop our right arm down, keeping that front left knee bent. Lifting that left arm up, creating some nice length on the left side of the body. Stay for a breath. And exhale, release back down into Warrior 2. And let's spin our arms forward and down. Drop both palms to the outsides edges of the left foot either side. Send that left foot to meet the back foot. You're in your plank pose. Stay here for a breath. And let's drop our knees to the mat. Shift our torso forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Forehead to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. Press your hips down. Press your feet down. Inhale as you lift up into your back bend of choice. Maybe it's baby cobra, full cobra, or upward facing dog with the legs off the mat. Stay for 1 more inhale. And exhale, release down slowly to the mat, forehead, the last to arrive. Curl those back toes under, press yourself up into tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. We're here for 3 breaths. So again, just good time to check in with your breath here. Making sure you're pressing down the base of each finger and each palm into the mat. Pressing the heels back down towards the ground. Sending the chest back towards the thighs. Stay for 1 more breath. And exhale. Now inhale, gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walk your step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms out and up, chest up, look up. Exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. Okay. Go ahead and shake it out a little bit. Just gonna grab a little swig of water here. Whew. It's getting a little hot on the beach today. Feels good though. Alright, so let's come back to the top edge of your mat and start with your feet hips width distance, heels behind those center toes. We're gonna come into our chair pose. So make sure your feet are hips width distance. Heels behind those center toes, nice and parallel. Actively draw this tailbone down towards the mat, hugging these frontal hip points up to the front bottom ribs. Broaden those collarbones, separate the shoulder blades away from the ears. Palms are down at the side to start. Take an inhale and exhale. Alright, coming into chair, we're going to bend our knees, send our arms forward, send the hips back. And make sure you can peek down and still see your toes. If your knees are still hiding those toes, you need to shift those hips back slightly. Arms are nice and straight, palms face each other. Make sure you're not arching your back, you're trying to keep your back nice and long. Take an inhale here. And exhale. Now we're going to add a fold, so bring your twist. Bring your hands to the center of your chest. Inhale to lift. Exhale, let's twist right to start. Now staying up here, bring some awareness to that outer left knee. Did that left knee come forward? If so, try and draw it back. You can stay here, or if you want, you can drop the outer edge of that left elbow to the outside edge of that right knee. Stay for one more breath here. And exhale, come back to center in your chair pose, in your prayer pose. Inhale to lengthen. And exhale, twist to your left this time. Staying up. Drawing that right knee back if it came forward. Take an inhale. Stay here. Exhale, release that right elbow to the outside edge of that left knee. Keep hugging that right knee back. Take an inhale here. And exhale, come back to center in your chair pose. Hold for one more breath. And exhale, release down to the mat. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, place your palms to the mat. Step your right foot back, step your left foot back into plank. Dropping your knees to the mat, sending your heart forward, bending the elbows, lowering all the way to the mat. Uncurling the back toes. Inhale, lifting up into your version of back bend. And exhale, releasing down to the mat, forehead to the mat. Uncurl those back toes. Lift up into tabletop and press yourself up and back into downward facing dog. Now we're moving right from here, so let's lift that right leg up and back, right toes face the mat. Gaze forward, bend the knee, shift the torso forward, knee comes with you, and drop that right foot to the top of the mat. If it didn't make it, you can always walk that foot up a little bit closer. So now, with your hands on either side of that foot, make sure your right foot's on the right side of the mat, and that left foot is on the left side of the mat. If you have blocks, you can use blocks on either side of that foot to give you a little bit of elevation. Otherwise, you can tent up on your fingertips, or if you can place your palms to the mat, you can do that as well. So we're staying here just for a breath. Now let's drop our left knee to the mat, uncurling those back toes. Inhale as we lift our arms up, chest up into Vinyasa. Palms face each other. Still tracking that right knee over the right ankle. Send the pelvis forward as you lift your heart up. Draw that tailbone down towards the ground. Take an inhale here. And exhale as you release your arms forward to both sides of that right foot. Curl those back left toes under. Lift that back knee up. Send that right foot to meet the back foot. Drop both knees to the mat. Shift the torso forward, bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl those back toes, lift up into your version of back bend. And exhale, release down to the mat. Curl those back toes under, press yourself up into tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Now we're moving to the other side now. So let's lift that left leg up, left toes face the mat. Curl those left toes into your chest, shift the torso forward, shoulders over wrists. Drop that left foot to the mat. Walk it up to the top of the mat. And make sure both feet are in their own lane. Left foot should be on the left side, right foot on the right side. Again, you can tent up on blocks if you'd like, or come up on your fingertips or palms to the ground. We're going to drop our right knee to the mat, uncurl those back toes. Press the feet, both feet into the mat. And lift your arms forward and up into Vinyasa on the left side this time. Palms face each other. Draw the shoulder blades down away from the ears. Send the pelvis forward, lift the heart up. Left knee tracks over that left heel. Take one more breath here. And exhale, release the arms forward and down. Curl those back toes under, lift that back knee up. Send that left foot to meet the back foot. Drop both knees to the mat, shift the torso forward, bend the elbows, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl those back toes, lift up into your version of back bend. Stay for one more breath here. And exhale, release down to the mat. Curl those back toes under. Press yourself up into tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Now we'll stay here for 3 breaths. Good time to check in with your breath. Nice, long, deep breaths. Keep those hands shoulder width distance, base of each finger and each palm pressing down into the mat. Spinning those inner thighs in and back, drawing the heels towards the mat. And inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees, exhale, walk your step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. We're coming into our chair pose to keep those knees bent. Send the hips back, arms come forward, palms face each other. Staying here for one more breath. And exhale, straighten the legs, arms come down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. All right, let's shake that out a little bit. Whew, feeling it yet? I think we're nice and warmed up. Okay, we're gonna work a little balancing pose now. Tree pose, one of my favorite balancing poses. So, I'm gonna start with your feet, hips width distance, heels behind those center toes. Now we're gonna have a couple variations, so just follow me along the way. But if we go an extra step that you're not comfortable with, just stay with where you were. So, with our feet hips width distance, nice and parallel, we're gonna start by shifting some weight into that right foot. Now keep your hands at your hips to start and bend that left knee so that left heel comes off the ground. Now feel your pelvis. We're going to try and keep it neutral as we externally rotate that left knee out to the side. So you're externally rotating that entire left leg. If you get to the point where your pelvis starts to shift, you're going to try and correct that, keep that neutral. And just go and externally rotate that left leg to your capacity. Now from here you have some options. You can stay here. If you'd like, you can bring the bottom of that left heel into that right shin. Stay here with your toes off the ground. You can lift those toes off the ground. Press the bottom of that left foot into that right calf. Or if you want to come up a little further, you can skip the knee and press the bottom of that left foot into that right quad this time. Now to keep your stability, actively press that right foot into the mat and try to hug this outer right thigh in. Yeah, it's going to engage the muscles. That's that glute med on that side to give you some nice stability. Now keep your arms here, or if you want to come with me, bring the arms to the center of your chest into prayer pose. Take an inhale here. Exhale. Now stay here, or we can grow our branches out and up. Arms are nice and long into a Y position. Palms face towards each other or face up towards the sky. Stay for one more breath. Now we're going to stay here, or if we want to add a little side lean, bring both palms together. And we're going to gently lean over the knees. We're going to lean to our left, just slightly, taking your time, keeping your balance, adding just a little side lean. And exhale, let's release back to the center. Release our arms down to the center of your chest and just gently release that left leg down to the mat. Whew. All right, let's shake it out. How'd you do on that side? We're gonna have another chance with the other side this time. So, starting with your feet, hips width distance, heels behind those center toes. Now we're gonna shift some weight into that left leg this time. And now from here, place both hands to those hips. Now bend that right knee so that right heel comes off the ground. Lift that right foot. Keep those toes off the ground. Lift that right heel. Now externally rotate that right leg out to the side. Make sure your pelvis doesn't come with you. Make sure you still have that nice and square. Now stay here, or you can walk those toes in so that right foot is on that left shin. You can raise those right toes off the ground if you'd like. And if you want, come up, skip the knee, bring that right foot up into that inner thigh. With your hands at your hips, actively pressing the outer left hip in and pressing the bottom of that right foot into that left thigh. Now stay here, or if you want, bring both palms to the center of your chest in prayer pose. Take a breath here. Exhale, keep pressing that left foot into the ground. And if you want, stay here or grow your branches out and up. Palms face up or towards each other. You're in a nice Y shape. Stay for a breath. And now stay here, or if you want to add a little side lean, bring both palms together above your head. And let's just gently lean to the right over that right knee. Just little by little, keeping your balance. And exhale as you release back to center, nice and slowly. Drop your hands down to the center of your chest. Release that right foot down to the mat. And let's just shake it out. Whew. Great job in your tree pose there. Okay, let's come back to the center, to the top of our mat. Feet are hips width distance, heels behind the center toes. You may already be here. We're coming back into our chair pose. So let's inhale as we lift our arms up, chest up. Bend the knees, send the hips back. Make sure you can look down and see those toes. We're staying here just for a breath. Inhale and lengthen. And exhale, let's release down into our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, place the palms to the mat. Step your right foot back, step your left foot back. You're in your plank pose. Drop your knees to the mat, send the heart forward, bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat, forehead to the ground. Uncurl those back toes, press the hips down, press the tops of the feet down. Inhale, lift up into your version of back bend. Exhale, release down to the mat. Curl those back toes under, press yourself up into tabletop. Lift the hips up and back into downward facing dog. We're moving right from here. So we're going to send our right leg up and back, flex those right toes. Bend the right knee into your chest, send the torso forward, shoulders over wrists, knee hugs in. Drop that right foot to the mat, send it up to the top of the mat. Now this time keeping your left knee up off the ground. Right foot is still on its right side, left foot is on its left side. Place your left hand either to a block underneath your shoulder, to your fingertips, or your palm can be on the ground. Either way, see what works for you, but that arm should be directly underneath your shoulder. Once you have that, you're going to raise your right arm out and up. You're going for a nice easy twist. And see if you can have that right palm facing forward, externally rotating that arm. Keep hugging that right outer thigh in, pressing that left heel back. Nice, long, straight left leg. Take one more inhale here. And exhale, release that right arm down to the mat. Pressing both palms into the mat. Send that right foot to meet the back foot. Drop the knees to the mat. Shift the torso forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Uncurling the back toes, lifting up into your version of back bend. And exhale as you release down to the mat. Curl those back toes under, press yourself up into tabletop. Lift the hips up and back into downward facing dog. We're going to the other side this time. So lifting that left leg up, left toes face the mat. Bend that left knee into your chest, send the torso forward, shoulders over wrists. Drop that left foot to the mat wherever it lands, then walk it up to the top of the mat. Make sure that left foot is on the left side of the mat, right foot is on the right side. Again, place your right hand now directly beneath your right shoulder. It can either be on a block, fingertips, or palm to the mat. I'm going to go with fingertips. And inhale as you twist and lift that left arm up. Left palm faces forward. Keep hugging that outer left thigh in. Pressing that right heel back, straightening that right leg. One more inhale here. And exhale, release that left arm to the outside of that left foot. Both palms to the ground. Bend that left knee, send it into your chest. Send it back to meet the other. You're in plank pose. Drop your knees to the mat. Shift your torso forward, bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Uncurling those back toes. Inhale, lifting up last time into your version of back bend. And exhale, releasing down to the mat. Curling those back toes under, pressing your hips up into tabletop. Lifting the hips up into downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. This is our excuse me, this is our last downward facing dog here. Take one more breath. And exhale. Inhale, gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. And we're coming back into chair pose, so keep the knees bent. Arms come forward, palms face each other. Staying for one more breath here. And exhale, straighten the legs, drop the arms to the center of your chest, and down to the sides. Whew. All right, we're coming back down onto the ground. So come down onto the mat, sit down with those sit bones, and have those knees bent at the top of your mat. We're going to come into Navasana pose. This is going to be our last big challenge for the day. So in our Navasana pose, we have a couple options. So we're going to get increasingly a little more challenging, so just go to your capacity. But to start, place your hands back beside your hips, have your fingers face forward. And now start with your feet on the mat completely, if you can. And now you're going to shift back just so that your toes come off the ground. This is our first version here. Now come back down, place your feet to the mat. And this time we're going to shift back, see if you can bring your heels off the ground just an inch or two. Your hands are still on the mat here. Now shift forward, place your heels back down, your feet back down. This time we're going to try without our hands. So now wrap your hands around your shins. Now start to shift back, lift the toes off. And now see if you can lift your heels off and balance. See how that feels on your sit bones. While you're here, try and extend through the crown of your head. We're still looking for a nice long spine. Try not to round. And release those heels down to the mat, feet to the mat. We're going for our next level here. So this time, we're going to bring our arms off of our knees. Our arms are going to face forward, palms face each other. Now lift the toes off, lift the heels off, maybe an inch or two. Get your balance here. Again, rooting down through the sit bone, rising up to the crown of the head. And let's release that down to the ground. Keep those arms forward. Again, we're just going to your capacity. So here we go. We're going to ramp it up a little bit, lifting the toes off, lifting the heels off an inch now. Now stay here, or if you'd like, lift the shins up parallel to the mat. Arms are still facing forward, palms face each other. Keep extending, nice long spine, flexing those feet. One more inhale. And exhale, gently releasing to the ground, keeping those arms forward. Now we're going to try for our full Navasana pose. So if you're coming with me, here we go. Shift the weight back, lift the tops of the toes off, lift the heels off just an inch or two to start. Now lift your shins up parallel to the mat. And now if you'd like, try and straighten those legs. You can point the toes, arms still face forward, palms face each other. Navasana pose. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, release those feet to the mat. Release the palms to the mat. We're going to roll back onto our backs. Take your time. Coming back onto your back. Keep those knees bent. And just walk those heels back toward your feet. Now from here, we're going to add a little bit of a twist. So we're going to bend our knee, with our knees bent, we're going to lift our heels off the ground. Again, our feet are going to come about parallel to the mat, our shins. And we're going to drop our knees off to one side. So I'm dropping my knees off to the right side to start. Once you have that, extend both arms out into a T or a field goal post, but your palms should be up towards the ceiling. Now your gaze can be up toward the ceiling as well. If your knees are dropped to the right side, make sure that left shoulder, that opposite left shoulder, is still rooted on the mat. You can always place a block in between both legs or underneath the knee, whatever works for you. Try to have both palms up. Now with that left shoulder rooted and those knees to the right, your gaze can start to look over those left fingertips if you'd like. You can turn your neck slightly. Just a nice, gentle twist for that entire spine here. Staying for one more breath. Okay, gaze comes back to center. Lifting those knees up back to center. And let's drop them to the other side this time. So now I'm dropping my knees to the left side. Both arms are still out into a T or a field goal post. Both palms up. With my knees to the left side, I want to make sure that my right shoulder blade still stays rooted on the mat. If you need to, you can place a block underneath your legs or in between both knees. Gaze can start towards the ceiling, and if you'd like, turn your neck to look over those right fingertips. We're here for just a couple breaths. One more inhale. And exhale. The gaze comes back to the center. Release your knees back up to center. Drop the heels to the ground. And place your hands down by your sides. Now from here, let's give one more squeeze back into our chest. So hug those knees into your chest. Give a nice little squeeze here. Drawing the knees towards the shoulder blades. Hugging that navel in and down towards the mat. One last time here. And exhale, let's release and extend everything out. So extend your feet forward, your toes away from your body. Extend your arms forward, your fingertips away from your body. Just extend, one nice last stretch here. And exhale, release. I'm going to release those arms down to the sides, palms face up. And legs can be hips width distance or even farther apart, letting your knees and your feet fall out to the sides. We're coming into our final pose here, our Shavasana. With your arms down at your sides, your palms face up. And as you begin to relax in this position, maybe your gaze starts to soften, or your eyes can close. Keep lying on your back as you just release any last little bit of tension you may have. Maybe you're still grasping your toes together or your fingertips. You can release your shoulder blades into the ground. Just release any last little bit of tension or control over the breath. Just let it be. Just imagine your body nice and heavy, just melting into your mat. Let's begin to bring some awareness back into your body. Maybe you wiggle your fingers and your toes. You can rotate your wrists and your ankles. And switch directions in those rotations. And come back to stillness. One last breath here. And you're going to roll over to one side of your body, keeping your feet on the mat. Just gently bend your knees. And roll over to one side. Taking your time here. One last breath here on your side. And trying to keep your gaze softened or your eyes closed. Use your top arm to press yourself up into a nice cross-legged seated position. We'll end our practice here. You can have your palms on your knees, your hands to the center of your chest. Thank you for joining me in practice today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in each one of you. Thank you. Peace. Oh, thank you all for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed coming out here at the beach, enjoying the sights and sounds and the music with me as we practice this morning. Again, my name is Daniel Schleig. We're still trying to do these live streams as often as we can, bringing our content right in to your homes. You can check the website emeraldaurayoga.com for any updates. You can check my site, daniel.yoga. All those links should be in the video description, as well as the donation link for Movable Feast. If you have any questions, you can leave them in chat. Otherwise, you can email us. My email is email@daniel.yoga. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed practice. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.